They always whispered in Ravenhold that some places were never meant for mortals to tread. Beyond the edge of the town, where the cobbled roads dissolved into wilderness, there stretched a forest unlike any other. Its name carried both fear and allure: the Crimson Moon Forest. To the villagers, it was a place of curses and forbidden magic, where ancient trees stood like guardians of forgotten secrets and where shadows seemed to breathe. But to those who listened closely on certain nights when the moon burned blood red in the sky, the forest sang. The tales said that on such nights witches emerged from its depths, gathering beneath the crimson glow to weave their rituals, calling upon powers older than time, powers buried deep within the marrow of the earth. Most trembled at the thought, but not Lilith. Lilith was not like the others in Ravenhold. She was young, quiet, with eyes that carried a hunger for things no book in the village could teach her. Whispers of the occult stirred something within her chest, a secret yearning she did not dare confess. For while others turned away from the thought of witches, she leaned closer, wanting to know what was real, what was myth, and what might be waiting for her if she dared to look. One night, when the crimson moon rose and painted the world in hues of fire and shadow, Lilith made her choice. With nothing but an old cloak to shield her from the bite of the night air, she stepped away from the safety of Ravenhold and crossed into the forbidden forest. Every step away from home seemed to echo louder than the last, as though the very earth was warning her. Yet she pressed forward, her heart pounding with both fear and desire. The deeper she went, the more the world changed. The air grew sharp and cold, fog rolling in like a living veil, swallowing the path behind her. The forest whispered with the creak of branches, the rustle of unseen things, until it felt less like she was walking through it, and more as if it was guiding her, pulling her toward something she could not name. Finally, after what felt like an endless journey, she emerged into a clearing. The crimson moon hung directly overhead, flooding the space in a glow both beautiful and terrifying. And there, at the heart of the clearing, she saw them. The witches. They stood in a perfect circle, hands entwined, their voices rising in a language she could not comprehend, yet somehow felt in her bones. Their song pulsed like a heartbeat, resonating with the earth beneath her feet and the stars above her head. In their midst, a great cauldron simmered, sending up plumes of light and shadow that danced like spirits through the trees. Lilith froze, trembling, but she could not look away. The stories had painted witches as cruel, twisted creatures, born of malice and hunger for power. But what she saw was something different. Something strange, yes, but also radiant. The women's faces were calm, their eyes reflecting the fire of the moon, their voices heavy with both sorrow and strength. Drawn by a force she could not name, Lilith stepped forward. The sound of her foot snapping a twig echoed too loud, breaking through the chant. The witches turned, and their gaze fell upon her. She braced herself for anger, for rejection, for whatever fate awaited intruders in the company of witches. But instead, their eyes softened. In their faces she saw no malice. She saw recognition, almost as if they had been waiting for her all along. The eldest among them, her hair white as frost, stepped out of the circle. She extended her hand to Lilith with a look that was both question and invitation. Lilith hesitated only for a moment. Something inside her, something ancient and unspoken, answered for her. She placed her trembling hand into the witch's palm. The circle opened, and Lilith was drawn inside. As the chant resumed, she joined her voice to theirs. She did not know the words, yet somehow they flowed from her lips, rising with the others into the night. A current of energy surged through her body, wild and endless, filling her veins with heat and ice, light and shadow. She felt the forest breathe through her lungs, the stars thrum in her veins, the crimson moon pour its power into her soul. It was not just power she felt, it was belonging. For the first time in her life, she was not an outsider looking in. She was part of something vast, something older than Ravenhold itself, something eternal. When the night gave way to dawn, the witches sat with her, their voices soft and kind. They shared with her truths that no villager had ever dared to dream. They told her that magic was not the dark curse people feared, nor the holy gift people sometimes prayed for. It was simply life itself, the balance of creation and destruction, of light and darkness, of birth and death. They told her that magic was a mirror, reflecting the heart of the one who wielded it. Lilith listened, her spirit alight with a fire that could never again be extinguished. When she returned to Ravenhold at sunrise, she was no longer the same girl who had left. Her cloak still clung to her shoulders, but beneath it, her heart carried the weight of secrets and power. She said nothing of what she had seen. She smiled as before, spoke as before, but within her, the magic had awakened. Again and again she returned to the Crimson Moon Forest. There she learned more, her power deepening like roots into the earth. The witches became her sisters, her guides, and the forest her sanctuary, a place where she could cast off fear and wear her truth without shame. The villagers never knew the truth. They whispered still of the forest, of witches and curses, but Lilith listened quietly, guarding her secret. By day, she was one of them. By night, she was something more. And though she never revealed her gift, she used it in silence. When sickness struck, she healed. When darkness sought to creep into Ravenhold, she pushed it back. When souls lost their way, she became a quiet hand that guided them toward light. For Lilith was no longer just a girl of Ravenhold. She was the child of the Crimson Moon, the keeper of balance, the unseen guardian in the shadows. And though the world would never know her name in its truest form, the forest knew, the witches knew, and the Crimson Moon, each time it rose and bled across the sky, seemed to shine a little brighter, as if to remind her of the night when she first stepped into its light and became more than mortal. Lilith's story did not end that night. It began.